Hi, everyone. I'm Mackayla, and today we welcome Izzy Pingrey to the Soundtrack of Our Lives podcast. She's going to talk a little bit about her latest EP, Junior, and so much more. So, welcome. We're really glad to have you here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. It dropped, what, November 10th?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. It was
Thank you.
really beautiful.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about, so your songwriting journey started, you were 13 during the pandemic. So kind of how has it evolved since then?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot with the isolation of the pandemic, I kept the art very isolated. Like I think even now there's stuff that I wrote when I was 13 that I've never played for anyone. Obviously that's changed. Because I'm here talking about my music, the music's out, blah blah blah. But I think I was really private about it, and I wouldn't really write from experience because I didn't really feel like I had any.
Hmm.
All of the media and music I consumed was about love. And at the
Yeah.
time, I had never really, I was in probably eight, I think I was in eighth grade, and I had never been in love before. I had had a boyfriend, who I had never held hands with even for a month. And, that was basically a friendship with a different title.
Yeah,
And,
as it
and
is at that age.
yeah. And I feel like a lot of what I was writing wasn't very real or true to me because a lot of the art that I was consuming was about things that I had never experienced, and that was the
Hmm.
way that I thought music was supposed to be. And so I was writing stuff about like boyfriends and breakups that I had just never had. And the first song that I ever wrote for a recording is a song that is not currently out called Firing Line. It's about feeling like you want to be in a relationship but never having the experience.
Hmm.
I think through writing a lot, I kind of figured out that was something that I could write about. Is
Yeah.
like, I could talk about wanting to find love and, feeling like afraid to get there and like feeling so close all the time with all these
Hmm.
different people and just like never, holding myself back. And, I thought that all I could write about was being in love or someone breaking my heart and pissing me off. So, I think that, that definitely changed as I kept
Hmm.
writing.
So is that song ever going to be released?
It's hard to say. I mean, it was something I was thinking for a while about doing, because there's a song that I have out now called Flatline.
Hmm.
It's the third song on the EP. And the plan was that Flatline and Firing Line are actually sister songs. So maybe that'll be released. I feel like it's a crime to have one sister out and not the other.
Hmm.
But I gotta figure out where to put it. So we'll see.
Yeah. So I'm assuming the title Junior has to do with that it was your junior year.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about how your junior year influenced the creation of the EP?
I mean, I think going back before my junior year, my sophomore year of high school I did my whole freshman year online. And my
Hmm.
sophomore year of high school was horrible. I was just like doing nothing. I was scared, the last time that I had been in a school building, I was 2 grades lower. And
Hmm.
so I was just like, I had no idea what to do. I really isolated myself. I didn't really have any friends at school. I mean, I did, but like not like close friends. I didn't really hang
Yeah.
out with, like. And junior year is when there was a lot of change in my life. I think the people that I surrounded myself with from sophomore year to junior year completely changed.
Hmm.
And that really influenced a lot of my writing. And, I think junior year was really cathartic for me, very therapeutic, because a lot of my perspective on life changed and on my social life changed. And every song on Junior is like about a different part of that, because myself in my freshman and sophomore year, I was just so, I have anxiety and it still hits me now and in different ways. And right now, I'm a senior. And so a lot of my anxiety is being channeled into either like, I live in New York City, I have to commute home and it's terrifying as every
Hmm.
single day. And because sometimes I gotta walk through Times Square, that's scary. But also, I'm applying to colleges. That's where my anxiety's at. But sophomore year, all my anxiety was social anxiety. And junior year is kind of when that I started to push through that. I started going to therapy. I started, and I think that all of the songs, I think, yeah, that's true. All of the songs on Junior are about different ways in which I kind of improved my life. And I think when
Hmm.
you're 16, that's such like a formative age for everybody. Like 15 to 18 is
Yeah.
crazy. And so like definitely 16 is when the most changed for sure.
Yeah. So what was the process like in writing those songs?
Oh, it's so different song to song. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Sick of It took me forever. You know, I don't know like how much you know about me prior to recording this. So I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Every time I do an interview, some of them have no idea who I am, and some people know about me. But my dad is my producer, and so
Yeah.
it's not like I only get this amount of studio time. And at the beginning, I was a brat with it, and I spent so long on Sick of It. I started doing Sick of It October 2021.
Mm-hmm.
It is like the EP came out November 2023. That's 2 years working, or 2022, sorry. That's 1 year. Oops, working on this EP. And I spent so long on Sick of It. I was so paranoid about Sick of It, and I was crazy about it because I had scrapped Firing Line at the time, and I was just like crazy about getting Sick of It done. And like I changed every 5 minutes, and it literally sounded the same, like beginning to end. And it was my first like full, like, okay, I want to put this one out. Like for
Mm-hmm.
sure this one's getting put out. And Sick of It was like the lyrics didn't change that much, but the production, I was so insane. Like at the end of Sick of It, I hit this like Sick of It took so long to make that the note that I hit at the end, I just couldn't hit that when we started making it. Like I go,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't hit that at the beginning of us making that song. And because I was singing so much, making the song over and over and over again, my vocal range improved. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how crazy I was about Sick of It. And then by the time we did Perfume was the last song. They came out in the order I made them. And Perfume took us like significantly less time. I had to get into the hang of it. But I was really perfectionist at the beginning, and toward the end, I'm definitely still a perfectionist in everything that I do, but I think, I'll think about like, hey, like, what's going on with me right now? And so, with Sick of It, I was getting out of a thing that was bad, and with not one specific person, but I was just craving getting validation from a lot of different teenage boys, not in like a gross way or like a
Mm-hmm.
physical way, like a Snapchat and a friendship way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what Sick of It's about. And then, that was hard writing that with my dad. I don't know. I think you've picked up by now I go on a lot of tangents. But it went from, me sitting down in the studio, writing a song. It took me 3 days to write that song.
Mm-hmm.
And then by that point, I wrote Narcissus in 30 minutes. Like, it was just like the difference between that and that is like now I'm kind of more like the vocal performance is what I really care about more. I mean, the lyrics are everything to me, but the lyrics for me are much more like they kind of come out of me now, and I'm not as focused on like, like what if the person that this line is about hears the song and he's like, I know it's about me, and that's happened and it's over. Like, whatever. Like, now that that's actually happened and gone down, it's like, now I just really want to sound good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what is it like working with your dad when you're writing, such personal songs?
You ever heard that like TikTok sounds like, oh my gosh, I love this question. Like that's how I feel. I love that question because my dad and I, I'm an only child.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up really close to my parents. My parents are kind of like they're half my parents and half my friends, which I feel like makes me sound lame. But whatever. And my dad and I have always been really close. We've always gone on these like, when I was younger, we used to go on like adventures and like, we would go and travel around New York, and like he would take me to the Met a lot. And my dad has always been really the one who's been involved in like exposing me to art.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he used to museums all the time and like take me to, he has obviously been a producer for my entire life, and so he's taken me to lots of things that have to do with music and played me lots of music. Like I remember vividly him playing me like Coltrane when I was like 2, 3. And my dad is always like the person who played me music, and to get to make music with him is really cool. And I think because like I have a vivid memory of me being 7 at like a table with like family friends, and it was me and my mom and my friend and her mom, and we were talking about us growing up and getting married, and I was like, I don't think my mom cares if I marry as long as he's not a douchebag. And everyone was like, where did you learn that word? And my mom was like, we don't censor her to art. And I always think about that. And I think in a way, my dad being one of the people to really show me lots of art. Like I was going to the Met and looking at statues of naked ladies when I was a kid. Nobody was stopping, and it was like pictures of like, it was not always kids up. And my parents definitely played a part in that. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's so personal in like every aspect of art. And I feel like when I grew up with my parents showing me that, it's easier for me to make that and talk to them. Yeah.
Yeah. So has the relationship changed now that you're making music with him?
A little. I mean, I think it's really weird because like most 17-year-olds are like, you have to get off TikTok. And my parents are like, did you make a TikTok today? you have to make a TikTok today about like your music. You have to make a TikTok today. Make a TikTok today. I don't have my parents are my managers. And so
Hmm.
that's definitely altered the relationship. But the way that I hang out with my dad now is me going in the studio and making music. And I feel like it's really nice actually to kind of, because what we used to do is, just do typical father-daughter stuff. And I feel like that's not super like emotional and nobody's crying in the studio, but I think it's definitely the way that he gets to know me, he gets to know
Hmm.
what's going on in my life, and then sometimes he'll talk about his own stuff, and like I remember one time we were just talking, he's like, yeah, I used to hang out in a lot of lesbian bars when I was younger, and all my friends were lesbians. And I was like, all right, like it's just kind of been like a way for us to get to know each other.
That's nice that you have that special connection with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as you're such a young artist, how do you navigate, like, because you're still in school, so you're sharing these stories and being vulnerable about your life, but then you also kind of have to go and face the people that kind of are your life, if that makes sense. So how do you kind of navigate that?
I always say that I was an open book before I started making music. I talk all the time. I'm not like someone who, it was an easier transition than if I was someone who was like the only way that I express myself is through my songwriting, and now I'm putting it out, which is something that people go through, and that's crazy, and I respect that so much. But for me, it's like, I'm always the kid who's like participating in like class, and like
Hmm.
I'm so vocal all the time, and like expressing myself is like a thing that I love to do. And so music was just kind of another part of that. But I think in terms of like my actual school, like I was nervous because a lot of drama that's going on in my life prior to me being with my boyfriend now
Hmm.
was really just like outside of school. And suddenly I was like, hey guys, this is everything. This is all the baggage. And for the most part, people in my school are so supportive of my music. It's actually really sweet. And there are other kids at my school who make music too. And everybody, I don't go to performing arts school, but there are a lot of talented musicians at my school. And there are other kids that make music and they're all good. And
Hmm.
kids are so supportive of them too. And I think I'm just really lucky to go to a school where everyone is nice and
That's
supportive.
awesome.
Yeah, and I think if I didn't go to my school, things would be really different. When
Hmm.
I played my spring formal last year,
Yeah.
and I played Sick of It, and a good chunk of the crowd knew the words. It was crazy. Sick of It had been out for like a week, and my school is so big on supporting each other and like all the endeavors, not just music, but it's not a big school, and
Hmm.
it's just like it's really nice to know that like, but yeah, there's social media, there's people who I know people who've had their friends comment in my social media, my Instagram, like this sucks, like, people do that. Some people, a lot of the people that I interact with every day respond to it well. It's really the people who the songs are about, who get their little friends to go comment about it. Those are the people who are the problem. But you just gotta out of sight, out of mind, baby.
Yeah, so how have you been dealing with that negative feedback that you're getting from those people?
I mean, it's fairly limited just because, like, I think a lot of people who are haters are too scared to say anything if you don't
Hmm.
have a huge, because I'm not a big artist.
Right.
It's way easier to hide if you're hating on Taylor Swift because she can't even really see it.
Yeah.
If she does, what is she gonna say? Like nothing. Like it's
Hmm.
like with me, like I'm a small artist. Like I have less than 1,000 followers on Instagram. Like it's way harder to comment terrible stuff on my Instagram because it's like you are gonna be noticed by a lot more
Yeah.
people. You're one of thousands of haters of the amazing Taylor Swift who I love. Like it's just like I think there's definitely people who don't like my stuff who are quiet about it, and I've definitely heard like around school, like my friends are like, "Oh, she said that your music was," and it's just kind of like to a certain degree. I think if you're putting out music and you're putting out, I consider my music to be like my feelings, and it's like a piece of me, it's a piece of my heart, and I think you gotta kind of like be aware that that's gonna happen, especially in
Hmm.
like there's a girl, I don't even know what her title is, who like helps out with my music. Her name's Cara, and she was like, high school and college is like the most hyper social you're ever gonna be. And so
Hmm.
I'm putting out my music while I'm the most hyper social I'm ever gonna be. People are gonna say stuff, and like most people are nice, but like my dad kind of warned me before I put music out. He's like, some people are gonna give you mean stuff, and I
Hmm.
kind of feel like I was aware of it beforehand. That like, yeah, if you put stuff on the internet, if you put yourself out there, people are gonna give you hate and be rude. And it is what it is. One person commented on my Sick of It music video, like it was something about Friday by Rebecca Black and a comparison.
Hmm.
And I posted on my Snapchat my story. I was like, do you think this is true?
Yeah. So how was making the music video?
The Sick of It or Perfume? I did too.
Both of them.
Well, they were really different experiences because Sick of It was the first video, obviously. And it was much less like intense of a process because the director of Sick of It was my friend Dylan Hobeck, who goes to my school, who I think I met in French class. And they're really cool. They're like winning film awards in Paris. It is crazy. And I was just kind of like, hey, like I want to make a music video for my song. Like, would you be interested in directing it? And they were like, yeah. And I was so crazy about Sick of It. The Sick of It was finished like 2 months before we put it out. And then to make a music video and have it come out around the same time is really hard. And they were a trooper, and Dylan like really pulled through and made this great video. And there's a party scene in that video, and every single extra in that party scene is someone that I either know personally or follows me on Instagram, or we're like mutuals on Instagram. And it was crazy. It was like the crossover event of my life ever. It was like every person I've ever met in my life in one room. It's like not that many people, but it was like this random like space in Brooklyn we rented. It's in the middle of nowhere. Not that Brooklyn's in the middle of nowhere. It was just like a really like weird street corner, and like was this empty, scary room, and like there was broken glass and like lights were breaking, and it was everyone I've ever met in one room, and kids were being loud, and I had my family friend Ian, and none of these kids are actors. They're high school kids, so they're terrible. No offense. Everyone who did the second video was such a trooper and so nice, but y'all were so loud, and it was like I was trying to give directions, and everyone was talking over them, and my family friend Ian, who I've known forever, would just stand next to me and be like, "Everybody, shut up!" And he's got this really deep voice, like and it was like the only thing that got people through it. But Perfume was a lot chiller. It was me and 3 of my friends, Kate, Val, and Charlotte, and I was working with a different director just because Dylan was doing film school applications right as we were, because we're seniors in college applications. Like I can't, Dylan did Sick of It unpaid, which is crazy generous, and I can't be making them do all that for nothing during college. But I was like, I can't. So we had this girl named Meg, who goes by Worm Girl, direct the video. It was crazy. It was such a cool experience. I mean, I think we also shot it in Brooklyn, and it was this just apartment, and they had dressed up this bedroom in the apartment that her friend lent her for like the day, and it was all Y2K. It was crazy. And they had me. I was like, Perfume is a song about my friends. I wrote it because I just like, I went to my first party junior year, and I like really wanted to capture like the way that me being more social like impacted my female friendships. And like Kate, Val, and Charlotte specifically are actually 3 people who I think my junior year really fostered my relationships with. I was friends with them before, and I think in junior year, me kind of working on getting over my social anxiety really helped my friendships, and I really wanted to write about that. And so I put out an ad on my private story that was like, if you want to be in this music video, we need 3 people. Like, make a little audition tape and send it in to my director, and she'll like pick 3 of you. It was a crazy process where we were like, does this combination of girls work? This is purely on just like vibe. And we picked those 3, and it was really, really fun. And it was more like in terms of like professional, I guess. There was like a lot more equipment, but I really loved doing both of them in their own different ways. I think shooting Sick of It was a lot more like casual and intimate, and like multiple days, and Perfume was like a 13-hour shoot. So
were there things that you liked about one that you didn't like about the other? Just the ways that it worked? Yeah.
I mean, I think in both of them, Sick of It was definitely less intimidating. I mean, it was still intimidating because it was my first video. When I was shooting with just Dylan and a couple of my friends, it was really low key and chill. And I think there were more people on set when we did Perfume. Like, there were people doing different things. There were like a choreographer. There's this part where we're on the bed, and we're doing this weird, like, I don't know, choreography. And they had like a person on set for that, and I was like, I don't know. Like, she was really cool though, but it was just like there were a lot of people that I did not know when we were doing Perfume. There were people I did know we were doing Sick of It, but that was a double-edged sword, because when we were shooting the party scene for Sick of It, I felt like I was at a school dance. Like, I really felt like we were trying to shoot at a school dance, and they had this scene where the kids are like mosh pitting behind me, and it was so, I can't even describe to you how ridiculously funny it was, having like 50 people jumping up and down behind me. It was so insane. But I would say that Sick of It was a little less put together because we had less time. There were definitely pros and cons of both. But in the end, I loved them both.
Yeah. They sound like they were a lot of fun.
There was good and bad in both. I remember the perfume video, about halfway through the day, all four of us started to get real tired. We had pizza a little too late. We were all a little cranky. And think of it, there was some really tall kids in the shoot that were just like causing more problems.
Yeah, so what artists or, musical styles have influenced you the most?
I mean, when COVID hit, I was in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I was listening to the most was like, do you know High School Musical, the series had just come out. I was crazy about that. Like, it was like all the Joe Livia stuff. I was the age for that. Like, I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is the age for the celebrity stuff. That is when you do it.
Yeah.
And I was so into Joe Livia. I had like a picture of them on a Ferris wheel up on my wall, and I was crazy about it. Like, you look at my Spotify rap from 2019, and it's just all like songs from that. And I became really obsessed with Olivia Rodrigo because I think she was like 16 when they started shooting that.
Mm-hmm.
This is so cool. She wrote that song, All I Want. She wrote it, and I was like, that's ridiculous. I was like, that's so cool. And I had really been more into acting. I was like doing some commercials and stuff when I was a kid, and when I was in middle school, I was kind of taking a break from all of that, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted. And I was thinking about getting trying to get an agent back or something. And then then I'm in COVID. I'm not auditioning for anything, and so I'm starting to Olivia Rodrigo in COVID starts doing these like song a day things where she's writing. I think she was trying to. Olivia Rodrigo is writing a song every day. I'm listening to them. She wrote the ones like, I like you so much, it's kind of gross. And she's clapping and she's playing the piano. I'm like, this is cool. And so I started trying to write a song a day. But if you play them back on my voice memos, they're like, oh boy. But I think in terms of the way she was just writing about whatever. Like, a lot of them were about guys, but they weren't all about guys. And I think that really was like, okay, like, yeah, you can do that. And then Sour came out, and there's like Jealousy. Like, that's not about a dude. Like, I don't remember, besides like, that was the first song about like beauty standards that I remember listening to that wasn't like, we're all beautiful and strong. Like, it was like, like, we are, but like, can you be like real about it? You know what I mean? And so like, when she's wearing Jealousy, I'm like, this is what it is. And that was feelings I was feeling when Sour came out. I think I was 15. Like, that was what it was. Like, Olivia Rodrigo and I aren't that different in age, and so everything she was writing about, I was like, oh damn, this is everything I'm feeling. And so I was like, I want to do that for other people. And so I'm not even stylistically trying to keep my stuff in one genre, but I've ever since then I've been inspired by specifically women who just tell it like it is, and are like actually writing about like their feelings and not like what's like going on with like pop culture. Like, I started listening to a lot of Fiona Apple around that time, and there's a song by her that's my favorite. It's on Tidal. It's The First Taste, and it's just like, even to this day, I'm like not even really sure what it's about, but you just feel her heart in it. And like Alanis Morissette and like all these girls who are just like Lizzie McAlpine stuff is so heartbreaking. All these girls are just like writing about their feelings for real. And all the music I was listening to was really like that stuff, like, no offense to the Chainsmokers, but like Chainsmokers, like with the crazy beat drops, and that's the point of the song. Like, this was like, oh, I need to do this. And so it was less like stylistically, and it was more just like lyrically is where I get most of my inspiration, and like subject wise.
So you mentioned earlier that you started doing commercials. So when did you kind of switch over to knowing that you wanted to do music?
Oh, well, there was a long transitional period. I think I started doing acting with like an agent when I was in the 2nd or 3rd grade, and I was like, music was always a part of it though, because it was musical theater first. It was musical theater. I did it at this place called like a class act, and it was like I would go and I would take these musical theater classes, and I would do these shows. And then I remember I went to my agent, and I prepared a song, and it was a song like, kids, they are just impossible to control, and it was like old people are supposed to sing it, and she was like, yeah, this is great, but maybe don't sing. So, I did like commercial auditions, and like I didn't really get any of them. I was a really tall kid, so I didn't really make sense for anything. Now I'm 5'7", so I'm like still tall, but I'm not like crazy tall, but I was like really tall. Like, my best friend when I was a kid, I could put my head on her head like this, like without doing any, like, it was crazy. And so I wasn't very successful in my acting, and I think that kind of took me out of the performance aspect of it, because I always felt very big, which made me feel very small. And so and in middle school starting, I'm like sweaty and hairy. I'm like, no, this isn't working. And so I dropped that. I think the last thing I did was a commercial for an ice cream thing that never aired. And I secretly always really wanted to do TV and movies, and I didn't pursue it because I was like, well, I'm 13 and gross, because everyone thinks they're gross.
Yeah.
Songwriting is like, I was really insecure at the time. It's like, nobody has to look at me. I'm like, I don't love me anymore. But like, that's what I was thinking about a lot, is like, I don't feel so exposed. Like, I did this like book trailer for this book. I'll just say it. It was called Don't Tell the Nazis. And ironically enough, even though I am Jewish, I did not play a Jewish person. And it was just like, I just stand there and be like, no. And I just shake my head. And I was on set for like 6 hours, and I watched that. And all I could think about was, I hate the way that I look in that. And that was what really held me back from acting, was I was so insecure. I think songwriting is what played a big role in getting me out of it, but it took a while. The transitional period was just a lot of like, oh man, it's really odd to say to describe it. That's what it's like. That's what it was. But that's middle school for most people, I feel. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's pretty accurate description of middle school.
It's universal.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Looking back, that was wild.
Yeah, so what emotions or messages do you hope listeners take away from Junior?
Ooh, I like that question. Let me think about it for a second. I don't want to say something wrong.
I don't think there's a wrong answer.
I mean, I just don't want to like give them the wrong message by accident. I think a lot of Junior is about a transitional period for me, and part of it is it was a diary of the time, and like it was me processing, but also that like, this isn't as much clear in the music, but that Junior was me getting out of a really dark period of my life. Not really dark. I was okay, but it was just like not great. And I hope that it can kind of serve as like, for anybody, specifically for younger people, I think if life isn't working out the way that you want it to when you're 14, 15, you're like, this is it. I'm a loser forever. And loser is subjective and a dumb term, but that's what it feels like. And I think Junior can be like, my life really changed just because I decided that it needed to. And sometimes making that decision is really hard, especially with mental health stuff. But I think you just work at it and put yourself out there and make the choice consciously to like confide in other people about what's going on with you, and like try to do things in a different way. And I don't know, I'm not saying this eloquently, I'm hoping it's coming across, but like
it makes it, it's coming across.
Light at the end of the tunnel, and like especially when you're that young, but even when you're any time before you die, is like things are going to change. Change is a part of life. And if you think that right now you're stuck in a rut, it's going to be the same way forever, you will have opportunities for things to change. You just have to take them when they're presented to you.
It's a good message. Yeah, so now that the EP is out, what is next for you? Can you tell us anything about upcoming projects or music? Aside from college and all of graduation and all that
I'm
stuff.
not going to talk about that. Don't worry.
No, you don't have, I'm not asking about that. That's...
Oh, good, because I don't know where I'm going to college. But I'm applying, blah, blah, blah. This is a transitional period too. And with that, it means I'm writing more songs. I really want to put out another EP before I graduate, which is crazy. Probably won't happen, but new singles hopefully will be coming out before I graduate, because I don't want to stop making music. When I go to college, I'm not planning on going to college in New York City. I'm not applying anywhere in New York City, so I have plans to like come back once a month and go record with my dad. Like I'm not going to stop doing this. I think if I do, I'll just fall right back into my rut. I think I need this as an outlet, and I really like doing it. It's really fun. And I've started writing for sure the next EP. I've already named it in my head. I've told nobody, but it has a name and it's coming, and I'm ready. And it has a name that's really meaningful to me. And I think this EP is actually even more meaningful to me already than Junior. I mean, Junior will always have a place in my heart because it was the first one, but the songs like this one, they're not even close to done, but the topics and the things, and there's some concepts on there that I've been cooking up for a while. And I think that the name of it especially just is really meaningful and like hopefully even more raw than the first one. Also, I'm really trying to play some shows. My mom said, this is so teenager doing music. My mom said that I can't play any shows, period, until my college applications are done. So some of my friends are like, are you going to play? And I'm not allowed to until I've applied everywhere, which will be like January. And then I have to do rehearsals. So hopefully like February, I'll be playing some shows around New York. I just really want to play. But hopefully I get to play my school dance again. Tenzing does the dances at my school. If you're listening to this, But yeah, that's most of what's next, is just making more music. Making another video would be cool, but isn't definite. And, I'm just, grind never stops. I hate that I said that. Yeah, I don't want to end it on that. I'm going to keep making stuff.
Good. So before I ask the last question, was there anything else that you wanted to mention or talk about today?
Ooh. I mean, I think really just like, I don't think I emphasized enough. I mean, honestly, this is a normal length of a podcast. My friends have short attention spans, and I definitely didn't. If they were listening to this, they were like, Izzy, I've heard you talk about this so much. Like, I don't want to listen anymore. Like, I know all of this already. But, my friends have been really incredibly supportive of me doing this. Like, everyone in my school, yeah, but like specifically my close friends. Like, when I played an event at my school, and my friends made posters, like big like posters that was so sweet. And my name is Isabella, and my friend Brody made this sign that says "is a banger," because they call myself bangers. And I just feel like, I think without the support of my friends, and I think that I would not have continued doing this. I think I would have freaked out. But also, like, the song Flatline is about my boyfriend, and I think he has been probably the most supportive person in the entire world about all of this. There's already more music about him, duh, that isn't out yet. But I feel like I don't think that it would be right to end any press of me talking about my music without bringing up the people that inspired it. And it's also important for me to mention the people that inspired the negative songs. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yep.
And I live by that.
Yeah. It's a good thing to live by, So the last question is, what is the soundtrack of your life?
Ooh. Oh, goodness. Like, what music?
It's for you to interpret however you wish.
I should have done more research. I researched this podcast, but I didn't research this. Okay. I honestly think I listen to so much music and I'm not getting it. Hold on. It'll come to me. I'm pulling up my Spotify. I don't know if we're on a time limit for this, so.
No, we're not.
Please. Okay, cool. Give me a sec. You can like play some elevator music in your head. Honestly, I think the soundtrack to my life is this playlist that I made in middle school. It's called, okay, this is weird. It's called Updated 2, which doesn't really make any sense. But the reason it's called that is because I had made a playlist when I was 11 called Updated about my new music taste, and then I made another one because I got sick of that one. And Updated 2 is a playlist that it must be over 24 hours long. I only listened to that one playlist from 6th grade to, I think, COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So 2017 to 2020. Mm-hmm. 3 years of the same playlist. Let me find it. It's only 6.5. That's crazy. I listened to the same 6.5 hours of music for 3 years. That's ridiculous. Sorry. But I think, that was when I started gaining consciousness. And I go back to this playlist all the time. It's like a lot of Don't Smile at Me, that Billie Eilish EP, that was crazy. It's old Taylor Swift, it's old Clairo, it's like Diplo and Zed, it's all over the place. And it's mostly pop. It's a lot. It's basically all pop. And this is when I started. This is so sad. I'm looking at songs. It's like Ariana Grande, Billie Eilish's other EP. I was doing all sorts of stuff. But I think, this playlist just really is the soundtrack of my life. It reminds me of that period of time when I feel like, this is weird to say, in elementary school is cool, but like middle school is when I started like actually having feelings about stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's so valuable. And I think I go back and I listen to that all the time, and it's just like, wow, that's my fetal stage of life. And I think who you are is just you when you're little, mixed with like everybody else you've ever met. And so like, I really like to do things for my little self, and I think I make music for the girl that listened to that playlist. So.
Okay. So for anybody who's listening and wants to follow you and stay up to date on what's going on with you and your career, where can they find you?
My Instagram is @Izzy Pingrey, and my TikTok is Izzy Pingrey Music 7, because I accidentally made it Izzy Pingrey Music on a different account and got locked out of it.
It happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you so much for coming and talking to me today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. I love to go down memory lane. This was a lot of memory lane, so thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have a nice rest of your day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.